Shalini, warm welcome to you on the Aspire for Her platform. That she had actually topped the country in the Chartered Accountancy examinations some years back. And I never knew that. And thank you. I think every day we learn something new about you, Shalini. Shalini is the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Director at one of the country's premium banks, Federal Bank. And she is literally one of the most powerful women in banking and fintech today because she works a lot with fintech and she is seen to be a thought leader in the fintech world.
One keeps hearing this word fintech. What does it exactly mean?
So coming back to your question, Tanushree, fintech, I think, I don't think any conversation, at least in my life in the last couple of years, no conversation can end without some or the other to fintechs. It's something that we bankers are now living and breathing with literally every day of our lives. Actually, if you look at it, it's just a combination of two words, right? Finance and technology. But I think that camouflages what it really is. An example which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, which is a digital fintech, which is Google Pay. And that's another, while Google is an organization which is very large and mammoth and, wide spread across the length and breadth of the world at large, what they've done with Google Pay in India is a very good example of another fintech where they've used a capability that NPCI has, National Payments Corporation of India, called UPI, Unified Payment Interface, and made it so easy to transfer funds between people. So it's kind of literally intuitive. It's quick, it's on the go, you can do it. There are the traditional banking careers which come through the normal route of, you do an entrance exam, etc., and you get in. That's one route which is there. I think the larger kind of inflow of people now that we see is into what is the fintech areas, which is, thing. So there is one set of people who do actual startups. That is, I think, something that you can do a little later in your career. You should have some amount of background. You should have worked somewhere in a corporate. You should have identified where your passion lies, etc., before you can do a startup on your own. It's not something I recommend to somebody starting up, But joining a startup is a very good way to kind of segue into your own startup. The first kind of advice is don't get disillusioned by the fact that, you initially come into a role in banking and you're being asked to do some very basic stuff. I think we all go through that and it's still very useful. The second is to be absolutely aware of the economic environment around you, because anything is really determined by the economic environment. So, and today students have access to so much of information in the public domain, right? So, I would encourage anybody wanting to going into banking to read a lot more in the public domain. And it's so much easier today, everybody is so much more online. Being aware of the economic environment that influences the banks, reading a lot more are, I think, two critical pillars that we would, in addition to all the rest. The technical skills are taken. As an interviewer, what I look for is, for example, what some of you girls are doing out here, which is, have you gone beyond your normal kind of technical curriculum, your core curriculum, and done, it may be small, it may be a small community activity, it may be a small, just organizing a sports event, but I look for examples of that and I probe those examples in detail to understand why did you choose that particular one, which tells me then what your thinking is, what your aptitude towards some of those are. And having chosen it, what was the role you played? Were you just a follower? Were you a leader? Did you take a more proactive role in handling things?
Very male-dominated society, and if I could just catch 1 minute more of yours.
Yeah.
You've been in a male-dominated industry, So have you had any difficulties leading a team, with male members? Has there been any?
So I think banking is not so male-dominated, thankfully, to be fair. Okay. But yes, all my team members happen to be a lot of males, obviously. I've noticed that whether male or female, they really look upon a line manager or a leader as somebody who's adding value to the process. Gender doesn't play a role. It is really about, are you adding value?
Thank you so much, Shalini. We won't keep you from your next one, but tell us about banking and fintech with Shalini Warrior. Thank you so much, Shalini.
Thank you very much, and keep safe, everybody, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.